Hey, I'm Jamie, and today I want to show you some really cool style hacks that you can do with your button-up shirts, with your sleeves. I have a cool one for your hair and some shoe hacks that I want to share with you. And I'm calling these hacks, although I just think they are really cool ways of wearing some items that can be a little bit difficult, and we struggle at figuring out what to do with some items like I'm going to talk about. So I hope this is helpful. If it is, please give this video a thumbs up and also consider subscribing. So the first one that I want to talk about are sleeves, especially your button-up sleeves, because you have the cuff, and honestly, button-ups just don't look as good when the sleeve is full length. Same thing with your blazer. So I'm going to show you two different ways that you can wear your sleeves that I think works really well. The first one is how I rolled up my sleeves today. So you can see that I have cuffed them up a certain way. I'm going to show you how I did it because I love this trick. And I'm really not sure where I saw this. I think I just tried it myself, but I know there's other people that have talked about this, and it really is such a good way to roll your sleeve. So if you just have your sleeve long and you've got your cuff here, it's unbuttoned, you're going to take the cuff and put it to where you want this to finish the roll. So I want my cuff to be right below that elbow bend. So I just have this extra material that's sticking out, or that's hanging out after I have rolled it up, and then I'm going to roll this on top of what I just did. It's going to take a little bit of effort, and it doesn't have to be perfect. If you have one sticking out a little more than the other, it still looks really good. So I want to show you how that works, so you can see you've got the little cuff that sticks out here a bit, because I don't roll it all the way on top of it. You just roll your sleeves up and they'll be there, but it won't be cute. And I think this is really cute. And depending on how long your sleeve is and how baggy it is, you may have to do may have to fiddle with where it stops and all that. And if you want a little bit higher, you may want to go up a little bit more, but I think it works really well and it looks really good. So I have my sleeve down for this one because I love this hack so much for silk blouses, blazers, or any other sleeves that you have trouble keeping up and you want them to show a little bit of your arm. And a lot of people make this recommendation to do this, and they tell you to use just a regular rubber band for your hair. Well, that doesn't actually work for me. It kind of cuts off my circulation, and I have pretty small arms. So I use this, which is just one of those elastic hair bands it's really lightweight. It's a little bit wider in width. And you can find these in different sizes, and you could actually probably buy some elastic and make your own. So if you have trouble fitting these things around your arm, that is a good hack to do. And find some that are close to the color of whatever you're wearing, and you will not see it. So I have kind of a whitish cream color here. I'm going to pull up the sleeve where I want it. I'm going to have all this loose material up here, and it's going to be straight here. Now, if you want it to look a little bit more natural, then keep a little bit of loose material down here. And then, as you can see, I'm just putting that right below the bend of my arm. And you can see it here. So I'm going to move it below that. And then if it has a tail on it, just move the tail to the back. And then what you're going to do is just take some of that material and just fold it down over it. And there you go. That's all you have to do, and it works really well. So definitely try that for some of those sleeves that you want to stay up. And that baby is not coming down. So I love this hack. I've used it a lot, especially in my videos, and I do highly recommend that. Just find a band that fits your arm really well. So now I want to show you how to perfectly tie a button-up shirt. And I already did a tutorial on this. It was a year ago. So I wanted to include it in this video for you because it has been really helpful and a lot of people liked that video. So I'm just going to undo my tie here and just let my shirt out how it normally would be, and so you can see that it's a little bit longer. And what I do is I just take it and I unbutton it just a couple of buttons, kind of to the spot where you want that tie to land. So if you want it higher, you may have to do more buttons. If you want it lower, you may have to do less. So just kind of button it up, unbutton it where you want it to land. And so I take it, since it does have a shirt tail, I don't tuck it in. I just kind of roll it under loosely so it's pretty loose in the back. And then I take the two sides and I hold them in my hands. And I want to explain to you that most women's button-up shirts the buttons are on the left, and for men's, they're on the right-hand side. So since the buttons are on the left, your top layer is going to be going towards the left, and it's the right-hand side. So you're going to take the side that is the top layer, which for me is the right side. And some women do wear men's button-up shirts to have an oversized look. So if you do that, that's totally fine. Just know you might have to do this opposite of what I'm doing. So I'm going to take the right one and I'm going to take it over the left one, so I have them crossed. And then I'm going to take the one that came to the right side that's from the left, and I am going to put it over the layer. So instead of taking the left side under, I'm taking the right side over, which is different than a lot of people learned how to tie something. So that is what it looks like. Then I'm going to take the opposite side. So you're going to do the opposite side that you did the first time around. So I'm going to take the left one and I'm going to cross it over the right, and then I'm going to take that one that was the left, came to the right, and I'm going to go under with it. So instead of going over with any of them, we're going to go under. So we're doing the basic opposite everything than we did the first time around. And then you just pull it through. And the reason why I love this, and sometimes you have to just kind of play with it, adjust it, move the material where you want it, but what you're going to get is a straight tie that doesn't show the opening hole. It covers it up, and it's just the perfect way to tie a button-up shirt. And you can just kind of pull it and fiddle with it, get it where you want it, and make it perfectly yours. So there is another way that technically would work, but in my opinion doesn't look as good. And I'm calling this the Girl Scout or the brownie tie. So if you're ever a Girl Scout or a brownies, you probably learned this tie. So I'm going to take it right over left again, but this time I'm going to take the left side under. So we went right over left under, and then you would go the opposite way and still go under. So then we go left over right and under, and you still get a perfect tie that goes across and sits okay. But what it does is it pulls that top layer out and you get an opening here. Mine is pretty tight. There's not a whole lot of space between my buttons, but the way I have it tied, so you don't see gaping. But in my opinion, I think this doesn't work as well because you can see how this layer opens up and is just not in the correct positioning, as opposed to the other way where it lays flat and inside that knot. So you could do this way and it would probably work out okay, but I think the other way is the perfect way. And then if you do it to where you take right over left under, and then you go right over left and under again, that is when you get the kind of wonky tie like this that just does not work. So now I want to show you how to tuck in your oversized button-up shirts. You can see this one is pretty oversized on me, and usually they're longer, and if you tuck them in, there's a lot of material that is left there. And what I did is just unbutton it a couple of buttons, put it, you want to have it to where you unbutton it below your waistline because it's going to be tucked a little bit and you still want to have it a little bit loose. So I rolled it up like I did, like you're going to tie it. There's no need to tuck it into the back. You're going to take both sides and you want to take the bottom side with the buttons on it and you want to put it through the hole where the buttons are above it. So we're going to put that. You see what I'm doing there? Put that through. Usually oversized button-up shirts work well for this because there's a lot of material there. So we're going to crisscross it over each other, but you still want to keep the button center. If you pull too much one way or the other, it's going to get off center. So you're going to do that, and then you're going to just tuck the sides in where you want them. And you're going to have to play around a little bit with it, and you're probably going to have to tuck it in just slightly in some places where you don't want too much material hanging out. But you can see how the front of this works really, really well. And I was always afraid to do something like this because I just was not sure if it would look hacky, if it would look like it just wasn't meant to do that, which I hate those kind of hacks. Like the whole tuck your shirt in under your bra. That would just be atrocious for me, I think. No offense if you do it. If you do, great, let me know. But that would never work for me. This was a good version, and there's another one that's a little bit easier. So you don't have to mess with sticking it through the buttonholes. All you do is just crisscross it in front, and it does give a little bit of a different look, and then tuck it in. And then you'll get a little bit more material there, but you can tuck in some of that material and just kind of get it the way you want it to look, and then it's perfect. So there are ways that you can do that. If you don't want to tie it and you want to crisscross it, make it kind of look like a little bit of a wrap, then you can totally do that, and it will be really, really cute, and it works well. But if you play around with it and you do get it right, then it actually looks really good. So now I'm going to try to explain to you the perfect way to wrap these around your leg, because if you don't do it right, they can get too tight or too loose, and then it's just totally uncomfortable all day. And so I want to show you what I do to get them to stay really well. And so when I put it on and I get the strap around my ankle, I will actually take my toes and bring them up towards my leg. So I am kind of at an angle with my foot, and it puts some tension in there, and it actually helps you to have the straps in a spot like this because you're going to have movement with your foot. And if you have your foot flat and you do this, a lot of times it ends up hurting and you get it too tight. So I always put that tension in, lift my toes up, wrap them around. And so I start in the back and I crisscross them in the front. And actually the straps are a certain length where you should learn how much they are going to wrap around your leg. Just try it and see where they end. And usually you know it's supposed to end when those ends are at the same spot. So if you have wrapped it correctly, you will not have two different lengths in those straps. They will be the exact, and you can just tie it in a little knot. And you might not have a lot left, but you need to have enough to where you can just tie it in a knot. If you want to tie it in a bow because you want to tie it less, that's totally fine too. But those are the two things. Make sure you lift your foot up toward your toes, towards your shin bone, and then start to wrap. And you can kind of put your foot down to see how that feels, because anytime I have my foot flat and I do this, they end up too tight. So this is a good way that they'll be a little bit loose, but they'll still stay on and won't be too loose, and they end up perfect. So now I want to talk about a shoelace hack. And a lot of people talk about shoelace hacks and sticking them in my shoe, putting them underneath the insole, any of that stuff I've not really liked. And I don't like anything inside my shoe that causes me discomfort. And you know, it's just not cool now to tie your sneaker laces. And I tie some of my other ones because the laces are just way too long. And I do think there are things you can buy on Amazon that are different laces that are cool that you could get. But what I do with mine, what I do with my Golden Goose, because this is the cool way to do your Golden Goose sneakers, is to put knots in them. So I start with a knot wherever I want it to where I want these to fit, because I want to be able to slip them on and off easily. And so I just knot it in the spot that is appropriate for me. And then I just continue down and knot the laces. And this was really difficult for me to do, and it took me a long time to figure it out. But you can see some of the knots are double knots depending on how I needed to knot it. And I just go to the end, and some of the spacing is weird on them, but they always end up really cute, and they don't drag the ground. I've got them to where the length is just, you know, it's long, but it's not dragging on the ground, and they're perfect. So if you want to try just doing knots down your laces, then that's a fun little hack to do. That's the cool way to wear a Golden Goose, but you could do it with any of your sneakers. So now for my fun hair hack. And I have actually been doing this because I wanted a way to lift my ponytail. And I wanted a way to wear my hair up without getting headaches, because I don't know about you, but when I have buns in my hair or ponytails in my hair, I get a headache. if I have it that way for multiple days. One day is fine, but if I go more than one day, it's just bad news. So I have done that hack here. So all I do is I take my hair like I'm putting it in a ponytail, and then I take my hand underneath and I flip it up, and then I stick a clip right there where I have it flipped up, and then I let it drape over the clip. And you can totally see that I have the clip there. And my hair just hangs over it. And I also do that with my half updos, just so I can get some volume. It stays off the head, and you can't, if you have a lot of hair like I do, and if you have curly hair, it actually looks really good and you can't see the clip. So I always get compliments from my husband when I have my hair like this too. So it just gives it a little more lift and fun, and I just love doing that. And I use a smaller clip. You could use a big clip if you have a lot more hair than I do, but I think it's a good hack, especially in the summertime, if you want to wear your hair up like I do, because it is just so hot, and I love this. Especially if I want to go multiple days with my hairdo as well, because I try not to wash my hair but every 3 days. And so if I need to do an updo because I'm working out, yes, I work out and not wash my hair, it does just fine. I just make sure I dry my hair. If I sweat on my head, I dry it immediately afterwards. And I'll stick it up in a clip like this so it doesn't put any strain on the hair with that rubber band, and it doesn't flatten it out or anything. And then I can still wear it down and it looks good. So just a fun hack. If you want a hack for your hair and you have hair like mine, or even straight hair would work good, but this is a good one to try. So I would love to know if there's any sort of hack that you have learned on any of your style items, hair items, anything like that, that you really love to do. Please let me know, because I love learning these things. Those are just the things that I've tried myself that I've actually found very, very helpful in my life these days. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I really enjoyed sharing it with you. And if you did like it, please give it a thumbs up and also consider subscribing. Love your neighbor, be kind, and I'll talk to you next time.